Before 2026 starts, I need you to hear this clearly. If nothing changes, nothing changes. 12 months from now, you will be living in the results of the decisions you are making right now, not next year, not someday, today. Some of you are about to enter 2026 with the same habits, the same excuses, the same income, the same frustration, just with a new calendar. And that's not because you're incapable, it's because you've been postponing the one decision that changes everything, the decision to become different. See, time doesn't transform people. Pressure doesn't transform people. Hope doesn't transform people. Decisions do. And the truth is, you are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply one bold decision away from a completely different life. The question is not, can you change before 2026? The real question is, will you? Before 2026 starts. I want you to pause for a moment and really think about this question. If nothing changes, where will your life be 1 year from now? Same habits, same routines, same conversations, same excuses, just a new calendar. And listen carefully, because this matters. Time does not change people. Years don't transform lives. New beginnings don't magically create new results. What changes everything is a decision, a clear, intentional, non-negotiable decision to become someone different. Most people are waiting for motivation. They're waiting for confidence. They're waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Clarity doesn't come before movement. It comes because you moved. Before 2026 starts, you must decide who you are becoming. Not what you want, not what you hope for, who you are becoming. Because your identity will always dictate your behavior. If you see yourself as average, your actions will stay average. If you see yourself as disciplined, focused, and valuable, your actions will rise to meet that identity. You don't get paid in life based on your intentions. You get paid based on the problems you can solve. And if you want a different income, a different lifestyle, a different level of freedom, then you must become a more valuable version of yourself. Money doesn't chase people, it chases value. Before 2026, you must upgrade your thinking. Not your phone, not your clothes, not your environment first, your thinking, because you cannot solve problems with the same mindset that created them. The life you want exists on a level of thinking you haven't fully stepped into yet. Some of you are not stuck because you lack ability. You're stuck because you tolerate too much. You tolerate distractions. You tolerate inconsistency. You tolerate comfort. And comfort is the most expensive habit you can have because it quietly steals your future while making you feel safe. Before 2026 starts, you must eliminate what is distracting you from who you could be. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everyone who's familiar is aligned with your future. Not every opportunity is worth your time. Discipline is simply choosing what you want most over what you want now. Success is not built in big moments. It's built in small daily decisions that nobody applauds. The things you do every day, especially when you don't feel like it, are shaping your future right now. Your habits are either voting for the life you want or the life you're trying to escape. You don't need more motivation. You need non-negotiables. You need daily standards that don't change based on your mood. Because when motivation disappears, and it will, your systems are what carry you forward. Before 2026, shift from being a consumer to being a creator. Most people consume information, entertainment, opinions, and opportunities. Few people create value, solutions, and impact. And creators are always rewarded more than consumers. The world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do with what you know. Let me tell you something important. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You don't need permission to change. You don't need approval to grow. You don't need perfect conditions to start. You just need courage. The courage to decide that this next season of your life will not look like the last one. Before 2026 starts, choose discipline over distraction. Growth over comfort, purpose over excuses. Decide that you will not carry old habits into a new year and expect a new result, because 1 year from now, you will arrive at 2026 in one of two ways. Proud of the discipline you practiced, or disappointed by the excuses you protected. The choice is yours, not next year, not tomorrow, right now. Decide and change everything. Before anything in your life can change, you must decide who you are becoming. Not what you want, not what you hope will happen, but who you are choosing to be from this moment forward. Because your life will never rise above the identity you accept for yourself. Most people are trying to change outcomes without changing identity. They want better results, but they keep seeing themselves the same way. They want more discipline, but they still identify as someone who tries. They want success, but deep down, they still see themselves as someone who waits for permission. And whatever you repeatedly tell yourself about who you are, your actions will eventually agree with it. Your identity is the silent force behind every habit you keep and every habit you break. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll justify inconsistency. If you see yourself as focused, you'll find a way to stay focused even when life gets hard. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. This is why deciding who you are becoming is so powerful. When you decide, your standards change. When your standards change, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, your life has no choice but to change. You must stop asking, what do I feel like doing? And start asking, what would the person I'm becoming do right now? Because future results are created by present decisions. Every small choice you make is a vote for the identity you're building. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce that identity. Every time you break one, you weaken it. You don't become confident by waiting for confidence. You become confident by acting like the person who no longer negotiates with fear. You don't become disciplined by wishing for discipline. You become disciplined by doing the hard thing when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unseen. Deciding who you are becoming means you no longer allow your past to have a vote in your future. You stop using where you came from as an excuse for where you're going. You stop explaining yourself to people who are comfortable staying the same. You stop shrinking to fit environments that can't contain your growth. The moment you decide who you are becoming, your life begins to reorganize itself around that decision. Your habits either align or fall away. Your circle either elevates or distances itself. Your tolerance for excuses disappears. Not because life gets easier, but because you get clearer. And clarity is power. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become who you already know you're capable of being. The version of you that follows through, the version of you that finishes, the version of you that doesn't need reminders to do what must be done. Decide that person today, and then live in a way that makes the decision undeniable. Before anything in your life can truly change, you must decide who you are becoming. Not what you want to achieve, not what you hope will happen, but who you are choosing to be from this moment forward. Because your future is not created by your wishes, it is created by your identity. Your life will always move in the direction of the person you believe yourself to be. Most people spend their lives chasing outcomes while avoiding this decision. They want better results without becoming better decision makers. They want success without changing their standards. They want growth without discomfort. But results don't respond to desire. They respond to identity. You don't act based on what you want, you act based on who you think you are. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will subconsciously create struggle. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you will justify inconsistency. If you see yourself as disciplined, focused, and committed, your actions will begin to align with that belief even when it's hard. Identity is the invisible hand shaping every habit you keep and every habit you break. This is why deciding who you are becoming is so powerful. The moment you decide, your standards rise. And when your standards rise, your behavior has no choice but to follow. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And start asking, what does the person I am becoming do in moments like this? That question alone can change your entire life. Every single day, you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. When you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that identity. When you break one, you weaken it. When you do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, you are training yourself to trust yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you earn through consistent action. Deciding who you are becoming also means deciding what you will no longer tolerate. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop explaining your goals to people who don't respect your growth. You stop letting your past mistakes define your future potential. Your past may explain you, but it does not get to imprison you unless you allow it to. When you make this decision, life doesn't suddenly get easier, but you get stronger. Your focus sharpens. Your excuses lose their power. Your priorities become clearer. You begin to move with intention instead of reaction. You stop living according to what is comfortable and start living according to what is aligned. This decision requires honesty. You must be willing to admit where you are without condemning yourself. You must be willing to outgrow old versions of you without apologizing for it. Growth will cost you familiarity, approval, and sometimes relationships. But staying the same will cost you your potential, and that is far more expensive. You are not required to become perfect. You are required to become intentional. The version of you that follows through, the version of you that finishes what they start, the version of you that does not quit when motivation fades. That version is built one decision at a time. The moment you decide who you are becoming, your future stops being a mystery and starts becoming a direction. And once that direction is clear, everything you do either moves you toward it or away from it. Choose wisely, decide boldly, and then live in a way that makes that decision undeniable. Before you try to upgrade your circumstances, you must upgrade your thinking. Because your life is not a result of your environment. It is a reflection of your mindset. Long before results show up on the outside, they are formed on the inside. If your thinking stays the same, your circumstances will eventually pull you back to familiar outcomes, no matter how many times you change your surroundings. Most people try to fix external problems with internal limitations. They want more money, but they think like someone who fears risk. They want freedom, but they think like someone who seeks comfort. They want growth, but they keep asking small questions instead of demanding bigger answers. And the quality of your life will always be determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Your thinking creates your standards. Your standards create your decisions, and your decisions create your results. This is why two people can be in the same situation and experience completely different outcomes. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. One waits for permission, the other takes responsibility. The difference is not circumstance, it is perspective. If you want a new level of life, you must install a new level of thinking. That means challenging beliefs you've never questioned. Beliefs about money, beliefs about success, beliefs about what's possible for someone like you. Many of the limits in your life are not real. They are inherited ideas you accepted without evidence, and you will never outperform the beliefs you refuse to examine. Upgrading your thinking also means taking ownership. Victim thinking says, this happened to me. Empowered thinking says, what can I do with what happened? One keeps you stuck. The other moves you forward. Responsibility is not about blame, it is about power. The moment you take responsibility, you take back control. You must also learn to think long-term in a world addicted to instant results. Most people sacrifice the future for the present. They choose comfort today and pay for it tomorrow. Upgraded thinking does the opposite. It chooses discipline now so freedom can exist later. It understands that temporary discomfort is the price of permanent growth. Your circumstances will always bow to your thinking, but never the other way around. If you think small, you will live small even in big opportunities. If you think strategically, you will find leverage where others see limitations. This is why information alone is not enough. You must apply, evaluate, and refine the way you think. Upgrading your thinking requires intentional input. What you listen to, what you read, who you allow to influence you. If you constantly consume fear, distraction, and negativity, your thinking will reflect it. But if you consistently expose your mind to growth, discipline, and higher standards, your thinking will rise to meet it. You don't need better luck. You need better lenses. When your thinking changes, your actions change. When your actions change, your habits change. And when your habits change, your circumstances have no choice but to follow. Change the way you think first, and the life you're chasing will eventually catch up to you. If you want a different future, you must be willing to eliminate the distractions that are quietly stealing it from you. Not dramatically, not all at once, but consistently. Because the most dangerous distractions in your life are not the obvious ones. They are the comfortable ones, the ones you justify, the ones you defend, the ones you tell yourself you'll deal with later. Distraction, not just about phones, social media, or entertainment. Distraction is anything that pulls your attention away from who you said you want to become. It's habits that numb you instead of sharpening you. It's conversations that drain you instead of developing you. It's routines that keep you busy but not productive. And the problem is, distraction doesn't feel like sabotage, it feels like relief. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they are unfocused. Their energy is scattered. Their attention is divided. Their priorities are negotiable. And whatever you give your attention to, you give your life to. Attention is your most valuable currency, and most people are spending it on things that will never pay them back. You cannot build a powerful future with a distracted mind. Clarity requires silence. Growth requires space. Focus requires sacrifice. This is why eliminating distractions feels uncomfortable at first, because you're removing the things you've been using to escape responsibility. When distractions disappear, excuses have nowhere to hide. You must be honest enough to ask yourself, what is actually costing you progress? Is it late nights that steal your mornings? Is it endless consumption that replaces creation? Is it people who only support you verbally but never align with you behaviorally? Not everything that feels familiar belongs in your future. Some things were only meant to be lessons, not lifelong companions. Discipline is not about restriction, it's about direction. When you eliminate distractions, you're not losing pleasure, you're gaining momentum. You're choosing what matters most over what feels good right now. And that choice, repeated daily, separates those who talk about change from those who experience it. You don't need to eliminate everything. You need to eliminate what is unnecessary, the things that draw in your time without developing your skills, the habits that keep you entertained but not equipped, the noise that keeps you reactive instead of intentional. Every distraction you remove creates space for focus. Every moment of focus compounds into progress, and progress builds confidence. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing you're honoring your potential. Your future is not being stolen all at once. It's being stolen in minutes, in scrolls, in excuses, in just this once decisions. And the good news is, it can be reclaimed the same way, one intentional decision at a time. Eliminate what doesn't serve where you're going. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. If you want security in an unpredictable world, you must build skills that pay you for life. Not titles, not positions, not temporary advantages, skills. Because jobs can disappear, industries can shift, and circumstances can change overnight. But a valuable skill travels with you wherever you go. Skills are the one asset no one can take from you. Most people chase money without understanding how money actually works. Money doesn't respond to need, effort, or intention. Money responds to value. And value is created when you can solve problems at a high level. The more complex the problem you can solve, the more you are paid to solve it. This is why learning is not optional if you want long-term success. It is a requirement. Building skills that pay you for life means shifting from short-term thinking to long-term leverage. It means asking yourself not just how do I make money now, but what can I master that will keep me valuable in any economy? When you focus on mastery instead of quick wins, you position yourself to earn repeatedly instead of occasionally. High-paying skills are rarely glamorous at the beginning. They require focus when others are distracted, practice when others are resting, patience when others are quitting. But skill development compounds. The early stages feel slow, but the payoff accelerates over time. What looks like small progress today becomes massive advantage tomorrow. Skills also give you confidence that circumstances never can. When you know you can produce results, fear loses its grip. You stop begging for opportunities and start attracting them. You move from hoping someone will give you a chance to knowing you can create one. That confidence is not arrogance, it's competence. You must also understand that information alone is not skill. Watching, reading, and listening are not the same as doing. Skill is built through application, feedback, and repetition. You must be willing to be bad before you get good. You must be willing to look foolish before you look fluent. Most people quit here, not because they can't learn, but because their ego won. Let them be a beginner. Skills that pay you for life are transferable: communication, sales, leadership, problem solving, strategy. These skills multiply every opportunity they touch. When you can communicate clearly, sell ethically, and think strategically, you become valuable in any room, in any industry, in any season. Building skills also forces you to raise your standards. You begin to respect your time. You become selective with your energy. You stop chasing low-value tasks because you're focused on high-impact growth. And as your skill level rises, so does your income, influence, and freedom. You don't need luck. You need leverage. And skills are leverage. Invest in them daily. Protect time to sharpen them. Be patient with the process, because the skills you build today will pay you long after motivation fades, markets shift, and circumstances change. Build something inside you that no recession can touch. If you want, see, consistent results, you must create daily non-negotiables. Not habits you try to do when you feel motivated, but standards you follow regardless of mood, energy, or circumstances. Because your life is not shaped by what you do occasionally. It is shaped by what you do repeatedly. And what you repeat is controlled by what you refuse to negotiate. Most people rely on motivation, and that is why their progress is unpredictable. Motivation comes and goes. Feelings change. Energy fluctuates. But non-negotiables remove emotion from execution. They turn discipline into structure. When something is non-negotiable, you don't debate it. You don't wait to feel ready. You do it because that is who you have decided to be. Daily non-negotiables are the bridge between potential and performance. Everyone has potential. Few people have systems. And systems win when motivation fails. When you create non-negotiables, you are telling your future that you can be trusted. You are building self-respect one action at a time. The problem is not that people don't know what to do. The problem is that they keep negotiating with themselves. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll make up for it next week. And every time you negotiate, you reinforce inconsistency. Inconsistency erodes confidence. And without confidence, progress slows to a stop. Non-negotiables simplify life. They eliminate decision fatigue. When the decision is already made, execution becomes easier. You no longer waste mental energy deciding whether or not to show up. You simply show up. That simplicity creates momentum, and momentum is powerful. These daily standards don't have to be dramatic. They have to be consistent. Small actions done daily outperform big actions done occasionally. Reading a few pages every day beats reading a book once a year. Focused effort for an hour every day beats intense effort once a month. Discipline compounds when it is applied daily. Creating non-negotiables also means accepting discomfort. Growth will never feel convenient. There will be days when you don't want to do it. Those days matter the most. Anyone can show up when it's easy. Your character is built when it's hard. Every time you keep your non-negotiables on a difficult day, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. You must also protect your non-negotiables from excuses disguised as responsibilities. Not everything urgent is important. Not everything important will demand your attention loudly. You must decide in advance what deserves your best energy and guard it fiercely. Over time, these daily commitments create something powerful. Trust in yourself. When you know you will do what you said you would do, regardless of how you feel, your confidence becomes unshakable. You stop doubting yourself. You stop starting over. You stop needing reminders. Your future will not be built by extraordinary days. It will be built by ordinary days executed with discipline. Create daily non-negotiables and let consistency do what motivation never could. If you want to change the direction of your life, you must shift from being a consumer to becoming a creator. Because consumers wait and creators lead, consumers absorb and creators produce. Consumers react to the world as it is, while creators shape the world as it could be. And the moment you make this shift, everything about how you use your time, energy, and attention begins to change. Most people are trained to consume. From the moment they wake up, they scroll, watch, listen, and absorb. They consume news, opinions, entertainment, and information, often without intention. And consumption feels productive because it keeps the mind busy. But busy is not the same as effective. You can consume all day and still move now. Here, creation requires responsibility. It requires you to think, decide, and execute. It forces you to use what you know instead of just collecting more knowledge. And this is where most people hesitate. Because creating exposes you. It reveals your effort. It opens you up to judgment. Consumption feels safe. Creation feels risky. But growth lives on the other side of risk. When you become a creator, you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? You stop waiting for opportunities and start building them. You understand that value precedes reward. The world does not compensate potential. It compensates contribution. And the fastest way to increase your contribution is to create something useful. Creation sharpens your thinking. It forces clarity. When you create, you must organize your ideas, refine your message, and commit to execution. You move from passive agreement to active ownership. You stop borrowing confidence from others and start building your own through action. This shift also changes how you view time. Consumers fill time. Creators invest it. Consumers look for escapes. Creators look for leverage. Consumers measure success by comfort. Creators measure success by progress. And once you experience the satisfaction of building something, even imperfectly, consumption loses its grip. Becoming a creator does not mean you never consume. It means consumption has a purpose. You consume to learn, then you create to apply. You consume to gain insight, then you create to produce impact. Without creation, consumption becomes noise. Without application, information becomes clutter. Creation builds confidence in a way consumption never can. Every time you produce, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You stop seeing yourself as an observer of other people's success and start seeing yourself as a participant in your own. That internal shift is powerful. You don't need permission to create. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to be the best. You just need to start. Creation is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with repetition. The more you create, the clearer you become. The clearer you become, the more valuable you become. The future belongs to creators, to people who build solutions, share ideas, and add value. When you shift from consuming the world to contributing to it, you stop waiting for life to happen and start making it happen. Before 2026 begins, understand this clearly. Nothing in your life changes by accident. The future you step into will be built by the decisions you make today, the standards you set, and the actions you repeat when no one is watching. A new year does not create a new life. A new level of commitment does. You've heard what it takes. Decide who you are becoming. Upgrade the way you think. Eliminate the distractions that are stealing your focus. Build skills that make you valuable for life. Create daily non-negotiables that anchor your discipline. Shift from consuming what others create to creating value of your own. None of these require permission. None of these require perfect timing. They only require a decision. The next chapter of your life will not be written by motivation, luck, or circumstances. It will be written by consistency, by the small choices you make daily, by the discipline you practice when it's inconvenient, by the courage to outgrow the version of you that no longer fits your future. When you arrive at 2026, you will arrive as proof of what you chose, either proof that you honored your potential or proof that you postponed it. Let this be the season you stop waiting, stop negotiating, and stop settling. Decide today, act today, commit today, because the life you want is not waiting for next year. It's waiting for you to become the person who earns it.